Hey grade 12s, how's it going? It's Thursday morning, April April 30th. It's the end of April. And it's coming to you from outside again today. It's a beautiful day. And at least it is. I'm recording this on Wednesday afternoon and it is nice out here. So, a couple of things this morning. I don't have a daily verse of the day for you, but I do want to encourage you to just keep going, keep working at your schoolwork, keep encouraging one another through this time. We will have a little bit of a Zoom chat later on today, depending on when you're watching this video, but we do want to have a class chat on Zoom at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And so hope you can all be there, and we'll talk a little bit more there. In terms of your lesson for today, I just want to point out a couple of things. You're going to be reading 4 pages from the book this time. Instead of chapter 3, I want you to read pages 21 to 25. And in those pages, there's a couple of things that I want you to focus on. There are 2 kinds of radiation. There is non-ionizing radiation, and there is ionizing radiation. And just so you have a quick, simple definition of what those 2 types are. Non-ionizing radiation is a type of radiation where there's not enough energy to ionize an atom. And as some of you will know, if you've taken chemistry, ionizing an atom means adding or losing an electron. And so non-ionizing radiation is a type where we don't have enough energy to remove or add electrons to it. And with non-ionizing radiation, while there is some observable damage that can happen, it is not always apparent, and there's really no chemical change to structures. As when we get into ionizing radiation, now we have a type of radiation that has lots of energy, and it can cause chemical damage. And what that means is that it can cause damage to or destroy DNA cells. And that is obviously what becomes a problem at that point. And so when I'm sitting outside here in the sun's rays, or a majority of them are non-ionizing, but yet we do see some effects on our body from sun's rays. And there's a little section in those pages about the different types of UV rays that come from the sun, and we're going to talk more about that at a later date when we get into some other uses of non-ionizing radiation. But yeah, so just take a look at that and know that with ionizing radiation, again, I want to point out the electromagnetic spectrum that we looked at the other day. On the left-hand side of that spectrum, we had low energy waves, right? And on the left-hand side, we have non-ionizing radiation. On the right-hand side when we get past visible light, we get into the soft X-rays and hard X-rays. So that's where we're getting into ionizing radiation and the type of radiation that can cause damage to your cells. When there's damage to your cells, there's 2 types of damage that can happen. There is something called somatic effects, and then there are genetic effects. And again, just know the difference between those 2. It explains it fuller in the reading that you should do. But somatic effects is when we have damage to any cells in our body that are not a part of our reproductive organs. Somatic effects cannot be passed down from generation to generation. Genetic effects, on the other hand, is an effect that does affect the reproductive organs and can be passed down from generation to generation. And so there's a difference between the type of effect that it can have, whether it is genetic or not. And so just be aware of those 2 things. So ionizing versus non-ionizing radiation, somatic versus genetic effects. All right, and then you're going to read those 4 pages in your textbook, and I'll put those 4 pages, or not in the textbook, but in that student booklet, I'll put those 4 pages, the numbers, on Connect for you. I also wanted to let you know, just sort of going forward, we are actually rapidly approaching the end of this unit. We're going to talk tomorrow about some units of measure in terms of radiation absorption. We're going to talk Monday about some treatment devices and how we use radiation to treat disease. And then we're going to finish up with some other uses, and by the middle of next week we'll be done this unit, and so you can expect a very short test on this. The test is some multiple choice, some true and false, some fill-in-the-blank questions, and all of the answers, every single one of them, can be found in the student booklet in the readings that you have or should have done. And it will be open book, so you should be able to flip through your book and you should be able to find all the answers, and it should be a fairly straightforward and simple test for you to do. So that's what you can expect middle of next week, end of this unit, and a test on this. Hope to see you later today in our Zoom chat, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.